Hello and welcome to another Blender tutorial from David Ward. This is Blender 3.5.1, and in this tutorial we're going to set up my model here, my Ninja Turtle model, to have facial expressions and how to set up lip syncing to dialogue so he can move his lips and his face around with what you're hearing. So anyways, as you can see, I have my Michelangelo model here. If you watched the tutorial on how I did the custom properties to change between the different turtles, I took that a little further, and I'll show you real quick what I did there. Right here we have it's Michelangelo. So not only do I have the body and color changes, I also have his belt. So right now it's Michelangelo. Let's change back to Leonardo. So I'll set this belt to the L. I wasn't able to figure out how to turn, once one of these is on, all the other ones are off. If it was Python, I'm sure, is very similar to PHP, which is the only programming language I know unless you count JavaScript. But in any case, this works one at a time. So I'm going to switch him back to Mikey, because what I'm going to have him say is something that Mikey said in the first movie. So I'll let that be a bit of a surprise once we get to that point. In any case, first thing I need to do is start setting up some shape keys. The way I'm going to do this is bone-driven shape keys. So I'm going to set up a few different shape keys of his face changing shape and things, and then I'll drive those shapes with facial bones. Okay, so something I want to do before I do all of that is to define the left and right side, because when his mouth, the old action figures, sometimes he had the snarl on one side, but not even open on the other side, just out of the side of his mouth. But anyways, I want to be able to single out the poses via the left, right, or per the left side versus the right side. Anyways, so I'm going to tab into edit mode, go to front view, and zoom out, and make sure my X-ray, back there, make sure my X-ray is turned on. That's right there. So it's on. So I'm going to select half of his body. Try to be as accurate as I can right there. I missed the very middle. So let me get there. Okay. So this is fairly accurate. Good enough for our intentions here. So I'm going to create a new vertex group there. And I'm going to double click on there, and I'm naming it capital LEFT, just left. Go ahead and assign that. And then I'm going to Control I. And this is going to select the opposite side. So I'm going to go ahead and select the middle here as well. There we go. Create a new vertex group. Name this one RIGHT, right? Assign those. And now if you go into weight paint mode and we click on left. Okay, did I not assign those? I thought I did. There we go. Interesting. Blender 3.5.1 must have changed things a little bit. Tell you what, let me pause and look into why I can't see my painted weights. Hold on. Okay, I think I found the culprit. For some reason, my weight is turned down to 0.0, and we don't want that. We want it to be 1.0. There we go. Now assign. Deselect everything, grab the right, select. Now, even though it had 0 weight, it still assigned these vertices to these vertex groups. So now I can just do that. Okay, so now if we go to weight paint mode, boom, there you see the right side and the left side. And you see a little bit of a blend between the two, and that's good. I'd actually like to make that a little stronger. So I'm going to tab back into edit mode, and I'm going to grab at least here on his head, because that's really the only part that is real important here for these facial shapes. And I'm going to go ahead and knock this down to about 0.5, and his left side is over here, stage right. I'm going to go ahead and assign 0.5 to these vertices, and I'm going to do the same thing over here and grab the right side and assign 0.5 there. So now if I tab out into the weight paint mode, you can see there's a much better blend. However, I want to go a little bit into the model as well. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that at 0.5, assign that to the right and on the left, and do the same thing on the other side, assign both. There we go. So now we go into vertex or weight paint mode. And it turns into quite the rabbit hole getting these to be correct. So if you want all of this side to be 100% gradually fading to the there, we can make this 0.75 for the right side. Boom, and then select that middle and make that 0.5 assign, and then this side can be 0.25 and assign. Let's take a look at that. Weight paint. So now it's a nice blend. Okay, so let's do the same thing on the left side. So right now we got the 0.75 for the left side. Boom. 0.5 for the middle. Sign. And 0.25 for the outer edge. Okay, so weight paint. Good. Good. All right. All right, so that'll work. All right, back to edit mode. All right, so we have our left and right vertices set up. There's another thing that makes things moving the facial vertex group or the facial shape keys around, and that's to have your teeth separated out. I got something in the way here. Let me hide that. So I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'm going to grab my face select. Actually, vertex select would be fine. Grab one of the vertices on his head there. Control L. We'll select all of the ones there, and I'm going to hit H to hide them. And then I'm going to grab my selection circle, and I'm going to paint over the teeth and gums. They're on the top. Control L. That should select all of them since I still have X-ray turned on. All right, I'm going to create a new vertex group there, and I'm going to call this one, I like to use all caps so I can distinguish it from the other automatic shape keys from the rig. So I'm going to say top teeth. I'm going to assign, oops, make sure the weight's all the way to 1. Assign that. I'm going to go ahead and hide those so I don't select them by accident again. Select all the bottom ones, add a new one, and go, actually let's name it teeth bottom, and then rename this one teeth top. There we go. So if we arrange this alphabetically, they'll still be right there next to each other. Go ahead and assign those to the bottom, and we can tab out. All right. Well, real quick, before we do that, let's look at weight paint and make sure. Let me hide his base model. There we go. All right. Now back to weight paint. So I got the bottom teeth and the top teeth. Perfect. All right. So now we're ready to start making his facial shapes. Let's go back to edit mode and unhide all. All right, so the first one I like to do, shape keys, and you can see I have a few already set up here that are driven. Get a Donnie head shape, just slightly different head shapes and arm shapes and such to help distinguish the turtles. And I did have them set up on the driver here, but apparently something broke, as usual. Anyways, we're not worried about that right now. We're going to create the shape keys for his face. So back to the little triangle shape here, the object data properties. Go ahead and, I was going to collapse the vertex groups. We're going to need them though, so I'll just go around them. All right, so this one I like, the first thing I like to do is start off with mouth wide open. So I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to select teeth bottom, boom, and select a few vertices there on his chin, up towards his lips. And I'm going to put the 3D cursor about where his jaw would hinge, so about right there. I'm going to hit the period button and go rotate around the 3D cursor. So now if I do this, you can see it's moving around that point, but that's too much. So I have my proportional editing turned on, but if I rotate and I scroll my mouse wheel down, you can see that circle appearing. That's the influence. So I need to select some more of his chin, getting up into doing that vertex, his lip. Okay, a bit more. Like so. And then also when you open your mouth, you're not like a puppet. Your skin kind of deforms a little bit. So as your mouth opens down, it's going to get a little more narrow left to right. So I'm going to grab that. And it's also a good idea if you're making symmetrical face shapes to make sure your mirror is turned on to the x-axis. Okay, so go ahead and get that down. So I can just grab one vertex there on one side, and it automatically does both sides. So let's do that. I don't want his teeth popping through. I'm just going to adjust his snout area a little bit. And let's open it just a little wider. Deselect everything, select the teeth bottom and his jaw. And just kind of sculpt it until it looks how you want it. And then again, the wider he opens his mouth, the more narrow it's going to get. Okay, so now we can see. Okay, this might be a little easier to work if we go to solid view there. And also if we turn off the subdivision surface. Boop. So now it'll be a little faster. There we go. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we got that. And let's hit the X here and that'll zero that all out. Okay, so we have his mouth open. Now I like to do a smile frown on the left side. So we're going to add another one. And I'm going to name this one smile. I like all caps, smile.L. Now it's going to affect both sides, but I'm going to copy it and use those left-right vertex groups that we created. So I'm just going to grab the corner of his mouth. Grab the right vertex. Come on. Almost there. There we go. I'm just going to drag it up, increase my fall off for the proportional editing, like so, and go ahead and change my median, or my rotate point to the median point where it's selected. Go ahead and curl the edges of his smile around, and let's go to our side view and go ahead and bring that in, maybe puff his cheeks out a little bit. I can grab the right vertex, there we go. Alright, so now if we tab out of edit mode and we turn his smile on, that looks pretty good, but I want it to be a little bigger. Big smile, because you know, Michelangelo's kind of a jokester. Alright, so just make his lips spread out, and just like when you're opening your mouth, your lips kind of get narrower. When you're smiling, they kind of get stretched out wider. So you can stretch the whole area of his lips. There. Okay, so. Alright, so let's separate this into two separate groups. I'm going to hide the camera here, just to get it out of the way. Select his model. Okay, so we got smile.L. We need smile.R, right? Well, I don't want to have to redo this exact same thing, so what I'm going to do, hit the little down arrow here, and go New Shape from Mix. Now, way earlier versions of Blender had duplicate shape key, but this is basically the same thing. You just have to make sure every shape key is set to 0, except for the one you're wanting to duplicate. So you go New Shape from Mix, because what the mix does is it mixes all of the shape keys together, and then you can create a shape key based on all of those combined. But I just want the one, so I'm just going to go like that. I'm going to name this one smile.R. I have a habit of holding down shift when I hit that last one. Smile.R. Now, this is the same thing. If I use it again, it's going to even scarier smile. Anyways, but we can designate the left side and the right side because remember we separated them out already. So I can go vertex group here on the smile.left, and I can say left. Boom. Smile.R, and I can say right. Boom. Okay, so now when I use the value, it's only going to do the one side, and the left side will only do the one side. Pretty cool stuff. And I'm going to go ahead and save this. As far as Blender has come, it still crashes on occasion, so get a sip of coffee. Actually sipping from the mug that was featured in the coffee mug tutorial. Okay, so we got smile left and right. Let's add frown. You know, one thing we can try to make things a little easier is here on the range minimum and maximum, that's how far that particular shape key can go. It can go up to 100%, or you can make it go pretty much as high as you want it to. So say we wanted to make it 200%, you say 2.0, and I go all the way to 1. See, that's about point, or it shows 1, that's the original full shape key, but we can keep on going if you wanted to. Kind of looks kind of crazy, but we can switch that back to 1. But in this same vein, we can lower the minimum. So say I want the minimum to be -1 instead of 0. So if I go backwards, boom, you frowns. But we don't need it to go quite that far. And it's also not really, it's the opposite of the smile, which a frown is not necessarily the exact opposite of a smile. So let's go ahead and set the minimum back to 0. And let's go ahead and create some new shape keys for the frown. So I'm just going to hit the plus sign here. And I'm going to go frown.l. Same thing we did on the circle. And I keep doing that, holding down shift. Okay, so tab, grab the corner of his mouth, corner of his lip, if I can grab it, there we go. And maybe just kind of bring it down a little bit, and then his cheeks a little bit too. You can see the gum line starting to pop through there. Let's raise those vertices up so it doesn't do that. And it looks like we have some. Let's turn the X-ray off so I can see a little bit better what I'm doing here. There we go. So grab these vertices here. Don't want those going through. No skin intersections. Get the gum line coming through there, so let's clean that up. A lot of this is kind of just at your artist's discretion. Alright, so let's see what that looks like. So frown. Maybe get his little bottom lip puckered out just a little bit. Okay. Smile, frown. Okay, so let's do the same thing we did on there. Set the value all the way up to 1. And I'm going to add in a new shape for mix. Oops, call this one frown.r. Okay. And again, set the vertex group to be right. Boom. And on the left, I'm going to set that to left. Okay, so the way we have it now, he could frown on the left side and smile on the right side. Kind of a crooked little smile there. Hit the X to zero both of those out. So looks like this is going to turn into a multi-part tutorial series. I didn't meant to do that, but a lot of information in here. So let's keep going with the shape keys. So we got smile and frown and mouth wide open. Let's add another one I like to do, and show teeth top. So this one I like to just grab the top lip and just like he's showing his teeth, like smiling, showing his teeth. Sometimes it takes a little bit to get these vertices to move exactly where you're trying. Also, if you experience like I just did, you're trying to zoom in on a particular vertex, but you can't get the camera to line up, and you rotate and it's way over there. If you hit the period button on your numpad, if you're using a regular keyboard that has a numpad on there, you can just hit the period button and it'll zoom into the selected vertex. Alright, so let's get a little more teeth. Alright, so there's his top teeth. Maybe we can make him kind of snarling a little bit as he shows his top teeth off. Alright, so let's see what that looks like. Okay, so that's pretty good. Alright, so let's add another one. Show bottom teeth. Or show teeth bottom, I guess. Alright, same thing, except on the lower lip. And let's go ahead and turn the X-ray back on. So I'm not selecting any of the wrong vertices. If you zoom in here, you can kind of see the framework of that lip, so I can select these vertices that are moving as I move. Oops. Accidentally grabbed one of his teeth vertices. Alright, so we don't need to show his bottom gums at all. He's probably not going to show them off that much unless he's like, yee, type of expression. So his lips are kind of folding down over his chin, so let's grab his chin vertices and give him some of that definition. So his chin is still there, like so. Okay. Let's show teeth bottom. There we go. Maybe not quite as squared off looking. Grab that vertex. Grab it. That one right in the front. There you go. Just kind of smooth this up a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to save this again. And there's at least one more shape key that I want to do. Actually, a couple more. 3 more maybe. 22 minutes. Alright, so let's keep trucking. Then we'll get into setting the drivers up and such after this one. So this one I'm going to go F. So the F is kind of a unique shape because your bottom lip's folding up under your top teeth to make that sound. So I'm just going to bring in that bottom lip and just bring it in. Bring the top lip out. Maybe narrow up the lips a little bit. Round that down. Actually, if I can grab the right vertex. Come on. It's right there in front. There you go. And that one. Alright, so this one needs to rotate a little bit so it's like making that F sound. Also, when you almost frown a little bit. Let's grab the corner of his mouth, bring him in. Okay, so yeah, it looks pretty good. Got something peeping through there. Is that the gum line? Let's turn on the material preview. See some pink there? No, but it's still showing through. Actually, you know, maybe it's not showing through if we have subdivision turned back on. No, it's not, so that's pretty good. But his teeth are popping through the edges of his lips. Let me bring that back out. There we go. That'll work. Alright, so back to our shape keys. So yeah. Okay, so one thing to add variety, these base shapes will make the most of the phonemes that we need. Phonemes are the shape that your lips and mouth and jaw and, well, your face makes whenever you're forming words, like the F. So we curled his lip up in. That's the shape that his face made when we were making the F sound. So most of these will work for the most part for the basic phonemes, but I'd like to give it a little bit more variation rather than kind of a robotic, this is the E shape, this is the A shape, you know, so on and so forth, and add a little bit of, like I said, variation with his jaw movement. So I'm going to create a new one. I'm going to call this one jaw left. Okay? And now to do this one, I need to turn off the topology mirror. Okay? So I'm going to let's grab his teeth bottom, select, and then also grab all of the vertices that would be connected to his jawbone. So it's like his chin, and the cheek area. Don't need that part. That was part of his tongue, I believe. So select. Oh, it deselected everything. Well, let me try that again. Okay. So I need to put my 3D cursor. Okay, it's about where it needs to be on the right view, but in the front view, it's way over there. So I need to center it up right here in the middle. So about right there. Okay, so I'm going to hit the period button, rotate around the 3D cursor. Now I can do like so. So what I want to do is rotate it to the left just a little bit, and then kind of move it to where the teeth aren't intersecting with each other. About like so. Okay. Now if I do this, see this gum line there on the top kind of peeping through, so let's clean that up just a bit. We take his lips there and rotate about like so. Okay. Alright, so we can do the exact same thing, or not the exact same thing, but a similar thing that we did to the smile left and right. So we've got the value set to 1 for the jaw left. What I'm going to do is a little down arrow, new shape from mix, boop, and it created another one. So if I zero that one out, grab this new key 13, which I'm going to rename to jaw right, hit the value. I was doing the exact same thing. I want it to go the other direction. Well, we could tab into edit mode and do it manually, but you can also hit the little down arrow and say mirror shape key. Actually undo that. Might have to choose the mirror shape key topology. Well, it almost did it. Apparently the teeth in there didn't want to behave. So let's tab into edit mode, and we're going to have to fix those manually. But we have, so deselect everything, we have the teeth bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, and I'm just going to rotate that and move that over into place where it needs to go. Okay, so now we can go jaw left, jaw right. And if we want to have him kind of like he's chewing gum, we're going to need to lower his jaw down too. So we have his mouth wide open to open the jawline way down, but I want to keep his lips closed. I'm going to make one more. We're going to say jaw down. Okay, go to side view, tab into edit mode. We've got our teeth selected, so I'm just going to grab the jaw bones, our jaw vertices, all the way over to there. Okay, and now I'm going to make sure my left and right's turned back on, or my X mirror is turned back on. Okay, side view, just rotate that down just a bit. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and grab the loop around the lips. Oopsie. Hold down Shift. Shift-Alt. There we go. And we'll just do like so. And that'll keep the lips together so they don't open up at all. I don't want them open. You can see the bit of the gum line there popping through. So if I can grab this vertex, there we go. Move that back up. Keep those gums inside the mouth. We can soften up the snout area a little bit. Okay, and like opening the mouth, you move it down, it's going to get a little narrower. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Okay, so we still have some of the gum line popping through, so we just need to adjust shape key a little. Okay, so it looks like this isn't. Guess we can grab the gum line itself and kind of move it down too. Okay, oh, it looks like it's affecting his eye sockets. There we go. Okay, so it almost looks like he's chewing gum. Let's, one little thing, get his outer jaw a little bit into. There we go. All right, so now we got jaw left, jaw right. So we could have him where he looks like he's chewing on, well, gum or a slice of pizza or something. So anyways, so that's going to be, for the most part, all of the shape keys. If we need to make any more, we can. Piece of cake, easy to do. That's going to be all for part 1, and hopefully part 2 will finish things up. Maybe part 3, but I'll try to get it all done in part 2. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in part 2.